Let's get started on our end of Unit 2 um, exam review. So let's look at question 1. A cell phone company, I'm actually going to set up my drawing. A cell phone company charges $60 a month for up to 1 gigabytes of data. The cost of additional data is 5 cents per megabyte. If D represents the number of additional megabytes used and C represents the total charges at the end of the month, which linear equation can be used to determine a user's monthly bill? So it's really important, um, not just that you underline and annotate your problem, but if you're looking at this problem, right, it's $60 a month for 1 gigabyte of data, right? Also, I want to put some information together. So megabyte, it's 5 cents per megabyte, and D represents additional megabytes, or D goes with additional megabytes, right? So I know for every 5 cents, because it's for every megabyte, right? Well, for every D, right? Because D represents megabytes, it's going to be 5 cents. So it's going to be 5 cents times the number of megabytes, right? And C is the total. So I love how each of these examples has C because it's the total. So it's going to be whatever C equals. So we have C equals, okay? And we know that $60, right, is your fee for the month for 1 gigabyte. So that's going to be a constant. And of course, we're finding a total, right? And we're having additional megabytes, right? So we're going to use our 5 cents times D. Okay, so we pay $60 for a cell phone company. Yeah. The user pays $60 a month for that whole 1 gigabyte, and then every megabyte after that is 5 cents. Okay. So it's really important that you kind of group the information together to be able to come up with the equation. Okay, a typical cell phone plan has a fixed base that includes a certain amount of data and overage charges for data used beyond the plan. A cell phone plan charges a base fee, so a base fee of $62 and overage charge of $30 per gigabyte of data that exceeds 2 gigabytes. If C represents the cost of if C represents the cost and G represents the total number of gigabytes of data, which equation would represent this plan when more than 2 gigabytes of data are used? Okay, so let's break some of this apart. C is the total. Okay, and we know that our base $62, and if you know your vocabulary uh, with equations, linear equations, um, our base is $62. That's going to be a constant, okay? So right away, I know this is wrong because it puts 30 as the constant, and this is wrong, okay? Now, let me take a look at this question again. It's going to be $30 per megabyte of data that exceeds 2 gigabytes. So after 2 gigabytes, it's going to be $30. Okay. So I know it's going to be 30 here, and I want to see what's going to go inside. So represents if C represents the cost and G represents the total number of gigabytes of data, which equation could represent this plan when more than 2 gigabytes are used? So when more than 2 gigabytes are used, we're going to put the total gigabytes minus the 2, okay? Because it's $30 per gigabyte after the 2 was used, okay? So it's not 2 gigabytes minus the rest of the gigabytes, but it's actually all of the gigabytes minus the first 2, okay? Not sure. There's a lot of information there, but at least if you could get rid of the first 2, you know that it's one or the other. It's either 3 or 4, right? And it's really hard to make sense of it being 3 because that's saying 2 minus all the rest of the gigabytes. You don't want to have 2 if they use 5 gigabytes, you don't want to have 2 minus 5 gigabytes, right? You're talking about them using more gigabytes than 2, right? And after 2 gigabytes, it's 30. So whatever's left over after the 2. So if you use 3 gigabytes, you would minus the 2 and you'd have 1 times 30. So I hope that's making sense to you. And if not, you could always ask me in class or send me a message through Google Classroom. Okay. And that's a pretty difficult problem. I'm not sure if I would put that on your exam. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to put something like that or make that a bonus. But it is a Regents question. All of these are Regents questions. Okay, so let's look at number 4. It skips number 3, so I'm sorry about that. Some of these numbers kind of go around, and that's because I got rid of some. I thought there was too many questions for you guys, so I'll just make that number 3. Okay, you could even leave it as number 4 because you're picking an answer here. So just so you see, this is for 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. Out of the choices, because for whatever reason the format got messed up. So it still looks really weird. But you're just looking for the equation here. So let's see if you guys can make sense of it. When I print it for you, hopefully it'll be in a better condition. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, John has 4 more nickels than dimes in his pocket for a total of $1.25. Which equation could be used to determine the number of dimes X in his pocket? So our dimes are X. And there's all these different things here. And what I'm going to say is I know that dimes are going to go with X. So I should have 10 cents with X. Okay? So if I see 5 cents with X, it's got to be wrong because we have 10 cents with X. Okay? So I'm not sure if the $1.25 got cut off, but it's not asking you to solve for X, so you don't really need it to find the equation. Okay, so now he has 4 more nickels than dimes in his pocket. So X is the number of dimes, and he has 4 more than that. That's a plus sign, right? Remember, and then we're adding it together, right? And we're talking about nickels. So nickels goes with 4 more nickels than dimes. Okay, so which one looks like that? That would be the second answer, right? The other one says 4 times as many nickels as dimes. But it doesn't say that. It says he has 4 more nickels than dimes. Okay, let's take a look at the next question.